woman, you don't know me, but you can bet that I know you.
Everyone you speak to in Britney's hometown will tell you, you can take the girl out of Kentwood, but you can't take Kentwood out of the girl.
I love the Spears family. They've been good to me. They're like family.
Britney grew up on Nyla's hamburgers.
Yes. Well, mostly grills. Britney I always loved the grill food. Britney has not changed a bit. She comes and she don't try to hide from her fans. She comes in now and it's like 10 years ago.
What about, do you remember when her first single came out?
She signed her contract with Jive Records. I remember that. She did that here. Jive Records met her here, and People's Magazine was here that day. And it was exciting.
So she signed her first recording contract in this diner?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I know I may be young, but...
The photo shoot for the first of Britney's 6 Rolling Stone covers also took place in Kentwood, in her bedroom surrounded by her doll collection. It was a vision of childhood innocence, with Britney wearing French knickers and a push-up bra.
We started a Britney Spears story probably before the record even came out, so that we had the happy accident of being there for her rise. And the kind of access we had to her is the kind of access you can only have as somebody is coming to the top, not once they get there. So the writer we sent down to talk with Britney spent a lot of time with her at her house. They watched Dawson's Creek together in her living room. Her little sister did a dance routine for both of them. I mean, it was ridiculous.
The cover photo was controversial. The American Family Association said that the mixing of childhood innocence with adult sexuality was troubling, and asked all God-loving Americans to boycott stores that sold Britney's albums.
David LaChapelle, the photographer, says that they were working on that cover shot, and Britney's manager came into the room and said, no, more clothes. And Britney said, you know, you're right, you're absolutely right, you're absolutely right. Yeah, this is just a little bit too much. And the manager left the room, and she said to David LaChapelle, lock the door, let's do this.
Britney Spears had everything a 17-year-old girl could dream of. Her first cover story, and now the perfect boyfriend, Justin Timberlake. As a Southern Baptist girl who believed that sexual intercourse before marriage was a sin, Britney Spears declared that she would remain a virgin.
I think the person that really helped was Justin Timberlake. I think that there were like a lot of teenage girls who thought like, this is the greatest guy in the world. He's like living with this super hot girl, and he's a, you know, he's a man in every context, but like he doesn't try to have sex with her. He'll just hang around the house, and she'll suck on lollipops and play with teddy bears, and he's like, oh, Britney, like, let's go to Disney World or whatever, you know.
Chuck Klosterman interviewed Britney for another eye-catching cover, Ms. Spears wearing no pants on the front of Esquire magazine.
It was the weirdest interview I've ever done. Of all, I mean, I've interviewed Marilyn Manson 4 times, and none of them was, the combination of those 4 interviews wasn't as strange as this. There was one photo in the spread where she's wearing only pearls from the waist up, and she's pulling her underwear down with her thumbs. And she wasn't told to do that by the photographer. So when I started the interview with her, I sort of began with what I thought would be, in a way, like sort of the most obvious question, which is like, okay, how do you sort of reconcile the fact that, you know, on one hand, you know, you're probably the most outspoken teen virgin among celebrities that I could really remember since Brooke Shields, but also you're sort of this hypersexual icon. I didn't know what she would say to it. I kind of thought she might, you know, possibly deny it, or she might say that, like, you know, people always say that, but it's not really true, or she might kind of knowingly go like, well, you know, I'm not as dumb as people think, but instead, she responded by acting like this had never occurred to her. I sort of felt bad for her in a way. I mean, it just seemed like you could tell her life had accelerated so quickly that she had no sense of what normal is, you know?
What am I to do in my life? Don't worry about it, I don't worry. How am I supposed to know what's right?
think she was doing double duty in a lot of ways, because she was preaching to the little girls who idolized her this message of virginity. She was a really religious voice saying, preserve yourselves, I'm not going to have sex till I get married. I think this is a dangerous message to be sending young women who are becoming sexually active or sexually curious and have a chance at doing it in a liberated and healthy way. To be telling them they're supposed to repress all that is very dangerous, especially when at the same time she is wiggling around in a manner that is clearly aimed at older consumers.
Every Thursday night, 12-year-old Taylor Horn sells out the Sugar Canes bar in Hammond, the nearest large town to Kentwood.
If it's a small crowd and there's not going to be anybody there, I can just either wear jeans or my black jazz pants and a cute top and have the rock and roll look. Or if there's going to be a huge crowd, then I have to have the classy movie starish
It gets a bit glitzier. And sometimes Grandpa will see an outfit on her and say, not on your life.
And even if Grandma says that's okay, she can wear that, and it's like down right there, and he says, oh, you need to pull that up, and she says, Ron, that's how it's supposed to be.
Carpet
yeah.
The trouble with Joe is I'm raring to go, but it's taking it slow, and we're going nowhere.
The best thing about, I think, being a singer, just think about it. You can think about, wow, gee, I have fans out there who actually look up to me and I'm their role model, and that's just a really great feeling.
And so what comes with that?
Responsibility.
Responsibility
to do what? It has a lot of responsibility. To be a good role model and watch what you're doing, and because, you know, there's just people out there who look up to you, and you got to be a good role model for them.
Can take everything away from you, but they can never take away your truth. But the question is, can you handle mine? They say I'm crazy.
In the space of only 3 years, Britney had released 3 albums, all of which debuted at #1, another record. But she was finding the pressure of being America's sweetheart a little too much.
Britney Spears has confirmed that she's not that innocent in real life. She now says that, yes, she did have sex with ex-boyfriend Justin Timberlake, but only because she expected to marry him.
In 2002, Britney had a very public and acrimonious split with Justin Timberlake.
Whatever.
This was swiftly followed by news that after 30 years of marriage, her parents were getting a divorce. Cracks started to appear in the very carefully choreographed public persona of Britney Spears. At the UK premiere for her movie Crossroads, Britney was booed after she failed to meet her fans. Her new restaurant in New York, Nyla's, modelled on Nyla's Diner in Kentwood, was a failure, and the media started to take great delight at the possibility that Britney might actually like a drink, or drugs, claims she vehemently denied and threatened to sue over.
Everybody's talking all this stuff about me. Why don't they just let me live?
On January the 3rd, 2004, Britney Spears took her fans and the world's media by surprise after marrying childhood friend Jason Allen Alexander at the Little White Wedding Chapel on the Las Vegas Strip.
This is where it happened, yes. Love is in the air at the Little White Wedding Chapel. The night that Britney came, no one knew who she was. And she came in here, got married right here where I'm standing. They both shed tears. They both expressed a lot of love and feeling for one another. I believe that their moment in time happened at 5 a.m. in the morning here at the Little White Chapel.
What's it feel like to be married to Britney Spears? What are you fucking talking about, man? You mean, what's it feel like? It don't feel like shit to me, you know? It's just
We met Jason at his grandparents' ranch where he lives in Kentwood. This is the first time Jason has given British television his version of that night in Las Vegas.
We had dinner earlier that evening and went back to the room, and we just kind of just hung out. It was late. We were just laying there and talking. And it just led up to that. I really, led up to that question.
And whose idea was it?
Well, she brought it up. She had said she had to ask me something, and she really didn't know how. And she just came out and asked me if I'd like to go get married. And I was like, I thought about it, and I was like, it'd be a great idea. We just went downstairs, hopped in a limo, and told the driver to take us to the nearest chapel, and that's where we went there. And they told us that we couldn't get married without a marriage license, so we had to go get the marriage license, and then we came back and had a little small wedding.
Britney and Jason were married in a 7-minute, $70 ceremony in the early hours of Saturday morning. By Monday morning, Britney's record company had dismissed the wedding as a joke taken too far.
I never thought that was a joke. Nothing about this situation was funny to me. I was serious about everything I said and done.
I've been waiting for so long.
I don't feel that she was crazy or anything like this. She definitely was not intoxicated, because we do not marry anyone that even has a slight inkling of intoxication. If they smell like liquor, we say, go back to your hotel.
Vegas wasn't our first time together, you know what I mean, like hanging out and stuff. So, yeah, we've partied together before. I mean, like I said, we're friends.
Close friends?
We probably was friends from the age 5 until now.
I believe that they were two beautiful people in love, and someone came in and interfered in what they wanted to be and what they wanted to do, and I think they had to change their mind.
Later that day, Britney telephoned her mum to tell her she was now Mrs. Alexander. Within hours, lawyers arrived at the Palms Hotel. They spread papers on the desk in the room and told Jason that if he cared about Britney, he would sign them.
They knew I wasn't going to read what I signed. But they had it making it sound like, when it blows over, you two can work this thing out.
The annulment petition said that Plaintiff Spears lacked understanding of her actions, the extent that she was incapable of agreeing to the marriage.
The one thing we do know is that there was not a prenuptial agreement. Now, when you are worth anywhere between $30 and $100 million, and you marry some guy on a whim without a prenup, you're not thinking. And I think that's the reason the next day there was a team of lawyers and relatives and whatnot on Jason Alexander saying, okay, you're going to annul this marriage right now.
You packed in the morning, I stared out the window and I struggled for something to say.
Oh man, it's been a roller coaster ride, Just, I don't know. It's been pretty tough.
Since their wedding over a year ago, Jason has not heard from or spoken to Britney Spears.
He was flown home without being debriefed, I guess I should say, any debriefing. So I kind of scooped him up and took him into my nest and wouldn't allow the media to really get there and exploit it.
But I was thinking, a couple people was going to come up, but when I got home, I had a driveway of 200 people, you know what I mean, or more. He come and grabbed me, and we took out. I had no life there for about 2-3 months.
Now I miss you more than I missed you before, and now
I don't know what to say about her marriage to Jason Alexander, except that it was someone she had known, and it seemed like a way back to a different part of her life. It was someone she had grown up with. Possible route back to the life she had before she was as famous as she wants to be.
I just think that she did something that they didn't have any control over, so it was the first time that anything like that had happened, so they took as drastic measures as possible.
Putting my personals aside as a friend for Jason and looking at it from a business perspective, I can understand everything that happened. Jason's a little Kentwood guy. Nobody knows Jason. No, Jason has no Hollywood ties. He has no music industry ties, no television ties. No, only thing he has is four-wheeler ties and a John Deere tractor ties. And that wasn't the greatest thing in the world for a person of of her stature.
That's what a lot of people think, you know, that I was paid off or I got some kind of settlement or whatnot, but zero. Nothing. You know, and people want to say that Britney bought me stuff, you know. Every time I pull up in my car, Britney bought you that, huh? I'm like, fuck.
That must piss you off.
I'd break his fucking face, man. And jump out my car and break your fucking mouth where you can't even use it no more, but I can't even do that kind of shit no more because it was a big deal.
Well, I have an image in my head now, which is Jason's enjoying the first day of his honeymoon, and it sounds like a load of guys in suits barged in and got him to sign a load of papers without him really knowing what he was doing.
Everybody but Will Smith. Men in Black.
Are you still in love with her?
Oh, man, you know, I still do care about her, you know, I really do. If she needed anything, man, I probably would do it for her, but I won't I won't love her like I thought, like I was in love with her then, you know.
You left me just when I needed you most.
Before the year had ended, Britney Spears had married again, and again in controversial circumstances.
Just when